we are hosting with our partner FedEx with this special event, since we do know how increasingly important is sustainability. Sustainability is front of mind for our customers as well as for us players in the logistic industry. Here our common goal is to reduce the environmental impact of our activities, and companies like FedEx are leading the way. As I said, today I have the pleasure to discuss about the action that we are actually taking together with Joost from FedEx e-commerce team. And welcome again. And specifically in the next 30 minutes, we are going to explore how ShippyPro is working to empower the shipping process in the logistic industry, how relevant are the partnership that this webinar. So let's start and see how ShippyPro is empowering the shipping process in the e-commerce industry. As I said, ShippyPro is actually a shipping automation software optimizing the order management for merchants of all sizes, both SMEs and enterprise, offering the best delivery experience to their customers. Since we do know delivery is key in the consumer experience, our mission is to make shipping simple, fast, and reliable. How we do so? We would like to explain which is actually the process for a merchant before using ShippyPro. Merchant should actually sign up to the CMS that has been actually used for creating the e-commerce store, as well as the marketplace where merchants are currently selling their products. Then the merchant will need to manually import data and update the marketplace and CMS once the order is fulfilled. With ShippyPro, merchant are giving an all-in-one shipping solution, which will enable them to automatically import and update data to their CMS and marketplaces. And in this way, merchant will be able to save time, minimize errors, and increase the number of shipments that can actually be handled. Our aim is to help then merchants to implement their e-commerce, omnichannel e-commerce strategy, as well as extending their business internationally. This is thanks to our library of integrations that we are increasing every week, and allow us to be actually a really useful tool for merchants in more than 30 countries worldwide, and be trusted by the most innovative business in the world. Then what we are currently doing to move forward and to move towards a more sustainable industry. We are currently studying a project for the CO2 calculation. This calculation actually will help merchant to understand the environmental footprint for its shipment, And this will be actually a useful tool because it will not be based on estimation instead of a real calculation that we will be able to provide our merchant thanks to our carriers integration and our track and trace product. In this way, ShippyPro will be able to support our merchants' sustainable strategy with data-driven decision. I will now leave the stage to Joost so he can explain how FedEx is working to deliver a more sustainable future. Thanks, and sorry again for these technical issues.
No worries, no worries. First of all, thank you, Rebecca. Thanks for having me here. Also, a warm welcome from my end to those of you listening in on this webinar. As Rebecca said, my name is Joost Sarolea, and I'm a product manager on the e-commerce team at FedEx Europe. What I'd like to talk about today are some of the ways at FedEx we're looking to deliver a more sustainable future for our customers, but also for the wider global community. I will tell you a bit more about our sustainability initiatives and investment plans, and show you the progress that we've made to date. I will also cover the role of e-commerce in driving forward sustainability, because this is such a massively growing industry at the moment, especially following the pandemic. So I'd really like to talk also about what e-commerce companies can do to make their business greener. So to begin with, let's consider the bigger picture in the European logistics industry at the moment. At FedEx, we see that while the industry has made some big strides when it comes to sustainability, there's still a lot of work to be done. In Europe, almost 50% of all carbon emissions generated by road transport can be attributed to freight transportation. And what's more, if the EU is to become climate neutral by 2050, as it plans to be, then an emissions reduction target as high as 90% is needed. We're sure that many people will be wondering what a company like FedEx, with the footprint we have, is doing to take action in addressing climate challenges. And they're right to ask that question. So next, I'd like to tell you a bit more about our new Priority Earth initiative. Priority Earth is our initiative to deliver a more sustainable future. It's ambitious, it's exciting, and we're confident we can get there. As part of this, we've announced a bold new goal to become carbon neutral by 2040. As you can see on the slide, there are three key parts to this initiative. The first part is innovating our operations in order to reduce our environmental impact. This will follow an approach we're calling reduce, replace, revolutionize. As we're going to reduce our emissions and waste, replace older technology in vehicles, and revolutionize facilities and packaging. The second part of our Priority Earth initiative is research and development. We're making a serious investment at sustainability at FedEx. We've pledged $100 million to help establish the Yale Center for Natural Carbon Capture, a place for researchers to develop solutions to directly take carbon from the Earth's atmosphere. And what we're doing is we're teaming up with General Motors BrightDrop, who will be helping us to expand our fleet of electric vans. And finally, we also want to inspire others to take actions. So we're looking at ways for our customers and their customers to become more sustainable through things like reusable packaging. And we've also added guides and resources to our website to help people make those small steps that ultimately drive bigger change. So all these different strands of Priority Earth are underpinned by a $2 billion investment that FedEx is pledging across three key areas, which is vehicle electrification, sustainable energy, and carbon sequestration. All in all, we can't wait to start seeing the results of this investment and continue to grow our business in a more environmentally responsible way. Next up, I just want to share a little more on our investment plans with Yale University. As I mentioned, we're helping to set up the Yale Center for Natural Carbon Capture. And the key aim of this is to accelerate research into methods of carbon sequestration. And if you don't know what that is, it's essentially the process of removing or capturing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere to actively reverse or mitigate the effects of atmospheric pollution. So This yield center will help to identify both short and long-term approaches that can offset greenhouse gas emissions, particularly in relation to airline emissions, and help to improve the health of our planet. We're hoping that this work will result in a wide portfolio of removal strategies, which can then be applied to many industries across the world. So that's a little on our current plans, but I thought I'd also share with you the progress we've made already. We know that there's still a lot to do, but we're pleased to reveal that since 2009, we've reduced our carbon dioxide emissions intensity by 40%. And in the last fiscal year, we avoided more than 3 million metric tons worth of carbon dioxide emissions. You may have already seen some of our electric vehicles on the road, and we're also rolling out the use of e-bikes across European cities. By 2025, 50% of our global pickup and delivery vehicle purchases will be electric, and this will go up to 100% by 2030. And finally, when it comes to fuel, we've saved 1.43 billion gallons of jet fuel, which basically equates to more than 13.5 million metric tons of carbon dioxide emissions, which is done through our Fuel Sense initiative and through the extensive modernization of our fleet of planes. So we're proud of what we've achieved so far, and we look forward to continuing those efforts to have a positive impact on our planet. What I'd like to focus on next is I want to zoom in a bit more on e-commerce specifically. As I'm pretty sure you all know very well, e-commerce has been growing rapidly. This hasn't just been because of the pandemic. It was happening long before, of course, although the pandemic has definitely sped up its rate of growth. But as e-commerce grows, so does the need for e-commerce businesses to make sure they're delivering to customers as sustainably as they can, particularly given how much they rely on logistics providers, of course, to reach their customers quickly and reliably. So on the next few slides, I'm just going to share a few insights on e-commerce and sustainability and look at a few key ways to e-commerce businesses can be reducing their environmental footprint. First, here's a quick glance at the impact of this fast e-commerce growth. Research shows that last mile delivery emissions are predicted to rise by over 30% by 2030 in the top 100 cities globally, as consumers increasingly rely on online deliveries, especially those living in urban areas. With many consumers getting used to and therefore expecting shorter transit times, this pressure on cities is only likely to increase. Yet, we've also seen that despite these expectations, consumers do want to do more for the environment, with more than half willing to change their purchasing habits to lower their footprint, and even 60% would go out of their way to recycle and purchase products in eco-friendly packaging, to give you an example. What's more, and this is one that personally really resonates and I find important, is that research has shown that it's becoming increasingly important for businesses to right-size their packaging as a way to potentially lower the number of carbon emissions they're releasing into the environment. Now, if you don't know what right-sizing means, essentially this is when you package up products in boxes that are appropriate to their size. Sounds simple. So if it's a small item, you use a smaller box. Currently, however, we're seeing that poor packaging practices in the e-commerce space are resulting in the average box being 20 to 40% larger than necessary. This is what we call the shipping of air, which generates avoidable levels of carbon dioxide and creates packaging waste. But also using incorrectly sized boxes means that vehicles are filled up faster and larger vehicles are required, or even more vehicles are required, leading to more emissions. What's more, the more packaging, of course, that's used, the more trees are necessarily cut down. But by optimizing packaging practices and right-sizing shipments, businesses can dramatically help to cut down emissions and help save estimates between 180 million and 1.3 billion tons of CO2 over the next decade. That's a huge amount, and it just goes to show how much smaller packaging sizes can help to lower the impact of fuels and pollution generated on the road. If you're an e-commerce business, you may be wondering what else you could do to reduce your environmental impact. There are a lot of strategies to explore, but we've outlined 3 key actions you can take to deliver more sustainably. The first one is delivery options. As an e-commerce business, an important step you can take is offering your customers the option to change their delivery date and location if the original delivery window is no longer convenient. We all lead busy lives, of course, and schedules can change at any seconds. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it with the pandemic going on, but that was definitely the case before the pandemic. Flexibility is really a must. Not only does this help you to win loyalty from your customers, as they'll feel like you're making their life easier, it can also help you to minimize your carbon footprint. This is because you can make a successful delivery the first time around, preventing couriers from making multiple trips to your customer's address. If you're wondering how to do this, FedEx can help you with our Delivery Manager tool, which offers your customers the chance to customize their delivery date and location, so you can avoid missed deliveries at no extra cost to you or the customer. The next thing you can do to make your e-commerce business more sustainable is to offer delivery to retail points. These are basically locations where you can drop off parcels for customers to collect at a time that's convenient to them. And this is really handy for customers as well. It takes the pressure of them having to be at home or at their business when there's a delivery. And once again, gives them the flexibility to collect packages around their schedule. In many cases, they're also likely to be collecting them on foot, which makes it more sustainable as well. When exploring this option, you'll likely want to deliver your goods through a logistics provider that has lots of retail points to increase the chances of a customer living or working near one. At FedEx, we currently have more than 60,000 retail points worldwide for you to choose from, and we're expanding these every day. So you can feel confident in being able to deliver close to a customer. Just move to the next slide. Yeah. Our third and final action is to send your products in reusable packaging. This is great for helping you to ship more responsibly and sustainably, as it can be used for your initial shipment. And then again, if the customer decides they want to return the product. It also makes returns easier for customers, as they don't have to purchase or provide their own packaging. It's worth mentioning here that for any business that do want to explore more sustainable packaging options at FedEx, we've launched a new range of reusable packs that are free and 100% recyclable. So as well as helping you to waste less, they give our customers greener options for their returns with a dual seal, which means that packaging can be used for both the initial and return shipments. That's it from me. I'd be happy to answer any questions if we have any time left you may have about FedEx services or how we're working to deliver for a more sustainable future. Thank you for listening to this part.
We will be happy to transfer to some question if the audience have them for us. Otherwise, we already have some questions that we received in the meanwhile in terms of during the registration phase. So we will be happy to reply them as well.
Yeah, and if there's anyone who has any questions after this this webinar, of course, you know, you can always reach out to us, to our teams, or to me directly.
Yeah, Ron, about CO2 calculation, can you tell me when it will be available in ShippyPro? Thanks for your question. We are still studying the project, and as soon as will be available, of course, we will let our customers and our audience, so in communication channels, to know. Yes, the webinar recording will be available after the end of this discussion. Thank you both. Okay, great. So how will you plan to monitor the progress? This is another question. In terms of, could you a little bit further detail the question? If it's still for FedEx.
So I can answer that question. So we're publishing our report every year on where we are in terms of our sustainability strategy and the impact we have. And there's another question: is CO2 important for merchants? Does it rise the transport prices? Well, I think in the end, it's important for all of us, right? We want to reduce the impact on the environment, so we want to reduce the CO2 impact. I think it doesn't have a necessary impact on the prices here, if that's what your question is. Maybe you can be a bit more specific.
Let's wait just a bit. Maybe they are going to detail the question for us.
So it's only. Go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead, please. Just it was actually part of.
So, Michal, you're saying it's only a push to lower the CO2. Yes, it is, because we're concerned with. Of course, we are concerned with the environment, like everyone is, and we see it as our role to lower our CO2 impact. So the question here is whether this will result in extra costs for the shipping. There's not directly any effects on the prices. This is a large company strategy, so no.
Okay, great. Thanks for all your questions. We are actually now at the end of this webinar. As I said, the webinar and the video recording will be available. We'll send you an email. And thanks everyone. Thanks Joost for being here with us today.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you all for joining.
Bye.
Bye-bye.